and welcome everyone to another episode and another edition of Blockchain E-Weekend. Today we have with us none other than Sandeep Nailwal, who everyone knows as the co-founder and CEO of Matic Network. And we also have, I really love him, and since a couple of years I've not been able to have a proper discussion, and this year we are having so many discussions. And Mr. Ajit Khurana, the ex-CEO of Zeppe and a startup evangelist, a mentor for many. Ajit, sir, thank you so much for being here with us today. And it's definitely an honor and privilege to always have a dialogue with you. And Sandeep has been one of the early supporters and one of the earliest supporters of Inblock's network and whatever we dreamt to do. He made it happen for me personally, and then he made it happen, for our own whole team. So today we have a very important topic that is, addressed by the ecosystem for the ecosystem. कि भाई हमारे पास idea तो आ गया है, but करें कैसे? That whole process of making your idea happen and that dream a reality. All right, आज हम उसकी बात करेंगे और blockchain and crypto ने उस चीज को कैसे बदला है. I'm sure that there are some people from US and there are some people from abroad. So we're going to keep a better mix of English and Hindi in this episode today of Blockchain E-Weekend. And we will start off with Sandeep and Ajit, sir, then we'll follow. Just before we begin, I'll give a little bit of highlight, of being in the startup ecosystem for 9 years and being in crypto for 9 years since 2011. I have never seen anyone go to the market and say that I have a project and straight away under ideation they straight away give you money. But I have been that person many a times where in multiple failed startups where people have really thought in the beginning कि यार ये तो सोच आप सोच रहे हो जो वो आज तक तो हुआ नहीं कभी देखा नहीं तो पैसे कैसे लगा दें. How can we invest something that is not real? All right, but if you have correspondingly addressed your idea, addressed your vision in so much clarity, then there are hundreds of people that jump onto that bandwagon. We have seen that with Matic, a white paper. We have seen that with Bitcoin in the beginning. All right. There was no company. Blockchain, sir, is not a company. First of all, anyone who's watching this, you need to understand that a blockchain is not a company. A blockchain is a project made by the members for the members of the society. The society runs it. Society governs it through some protocols embedded in the core and then runs it. It improves it over time. And we have seen Matic improving Ethereum over time. And now Ethereum, where it was stuck at transaction relays, can be scaled to 2 raised to the power 16 with Matic. And it will be further, maybe in the future, we need further improvements. That will also be improvement proposals being addressed. So there's a lot happening for the ecosystem, which started as an idea, just as a white paper, and ended up becoming billions of dollars. And in Matic's case, it's about $50 million right now in market cap. And all of these things started only with an idea. Not many in the Indian ecosystem have reached from the idea stage to the IEO point, but it's very soon to say how many projects in this year, in 2020, will come to that ideation stage. We haven't seen any yet. All right, just WazirX we saw in the early of this year. All right, but there are many projects, and I can say and I can vouch, being a member of this community, that there are many in the progress and being developed in house. Anyone who has and wants to be involved and wanting, they have an idea, or you've done a POC, or you've done anything that you've done with it, please reach out to us at Inblock Network. We'll connect you to the right people. We'll connect you to the likes of Matic, with the likes of Ajit sir, to help you guide yourself as well, and get you to that stage where you can say that now I have what I need. I have the resources, I have the funds, and we'll let you through, and your project can see the light of the day. And not wasting any further time, I'd move on to Sandeep, who has been a pioneer and being the first in line to have a successful IEO and an ICO in the times when people were just putting any project out and raising funds, all right, and ending up broke or hurt or dumped, all right. That time, Matic rose from the dirt and is now, looking to go to the moon. And that's why we are all in support of Matic, all right. And Sandeep, over to you. I'll be in the background and watching you and learning from you as well.
Thank you so much, Abhimanyu, first of all, inviting me here. So yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a like what you guys want is that I should give a brief kind of history of how we or at Matic we evolved from a startup or a research company to an IEO and now a blockchain network as we went into mainnet. So yeah, I mean, I can basically walk through the history of Matic and then kind of take out the cues from it that what are the key areas that the upcoming companies or startup protocols who are looking to build looking to build a token startup. I call these token startups, right? And I will also touch upon that how doing a token startup is like much difficult than doing a like I'm not saying doing a equity startup is easy in any way. It's really one of the hardest thing that you would do on this planet. But then doing a token startup, when you add a token on top of a startup, it compounds difficulty of doing things. So we'll touch upon that also a bit. So at Matic we so the idea of Matic started from our my fellow co-founder Jayanti. He was our research member in the plasma group, and there he realized that the way the plasma was being built, and which actually proved to be true over time, is that this is not the right way. So we should do it in a way which is like more developer friendly and all. So that was the core idea from where it started. He had already built a small POC over there, and then he discussed it with me also, and we also actually connected over the like initially our initial connect back in 2000 end of 2016 or even like slightly before that happened through the Indian blockchain community. So for any like I will keep taking out these inputs also for other upcoming or potential or hopeful people who want to do something in this, that in this particular space, since the research is expanding at such a rapid space, like in 2 to 3 months everything that you are building is becomes like more or less obsolete. So having a very strong network is very important. So I and JD connected over there on some of these ideas and everything. And then over time I also realized that this is pretty solid, and then we could make it a company and take it public in a public kind of platform. So luckily initially for us was there was a ICO kind of boom at that time. So what we did is that we tried, like we could have gone into the market immediately and then maybe raised, I don't know, maybe 18 million dollar, $20 million, whatever, because we had the credentials with us. I had built multiple, software like blockchain related products for for the clients and for myself before. And JD was also had done open source contributions. But then we decided that no, this is not the right way. We disagreed with the white paper approach, to be honest, that you should be raising money on a white paper. So that we will be the, like, from the very start, and this was actually the ICO frenzy days. We thought that we will have at least a stable test net, and then we will go out and start raising any money. So we built a basic test net, and then we did a very small family and friends round, and from our closely known members in the community and some of our friends. So mostly mine and Jayanti's friends invested in us, right? So that's the first step, like where you have an idea, you consolidate your vision, that what you exactly want to build. Also realize that in this industry, every 3 to 6 months whatever you are building becomes obsolete. So your idea and vision should be a larger and stronger vision. So for us it was like the vision today also it's the same vision, is to have a developer friendly blockchain application, blockchain platform, which where developers can build applications easily. And there is some noise. Abhimanyu, is there a noise from your end? I think it's from Ajit sir's side. Ajit sir, could you please put it on mute? There is a background noise coming in. Yeah, okay, this is good now. So yeah, so we had the idea. So we, like, rather than saying that okay, we are building a plasma or POS, plasma POS network, as a side chain, we in our minds we were very clear that we want to build developer friendly blockchain platform where developers can easily build applications, and then the user experience of those applications should be at par with web 2. That's our core vision and idea. And in between, whatever happens, whether we are building a single operator plasma or a multi operator POS hybrid plasma POS chain, those are all the tactical decisions. The bigger larger decision is that provide uh, a development platform where these good applications, blockchain applications, which can compete with Web2 applications, can be built. So, of course, scalability and low cost transactions and all that become a part of it. And then the other part was that from the applications, the blockchain should be invisible. Like the end user doesn't care that whether this is a blockchain, this is a decentralized application or whatever. For them, they initially want to use a good application. Then, when the application has a good enough user experience at par with, let's say, if somebody is using a decentralized Twitter, it is at par with the actual Twitter. Then somebody will think that, okay, I have these two options, where do I want to express myself more, on a decentralized platform or a centralized kind of platform like Twitter. So that was also one important part of the vision from our side. So we started from there. We built a white paper. We had our vision in our minds. We built a test net. Then we did a small family and friends round. And in this round also, we took some of the friends which we knew that have very good networks, who can help us recruit, who can help us spread the word to the other kind of investors. So we selected those angel investors, even if they were friends, but very carefully, who had, industry idea and all that. And only few of them were like, for only there for, let's say, the initial fundraise. So having good angels like Ajit sir, if somebody can get, even now, if I can get somebody like Ajit sir as a mentor, that's like, the half of your problem is solved. And I mean it, like, because, we raised our largest fund raise round in IEO only. So we don't have that many VCs, and only few VCs who have picked up our tokens from the secondary market, they help us. And trust me, if you have good VCs backing you, I think it removes a lot of friction from your life. It opens up a lot of kind of doors for you, like having angels and VCs who are there in the industry and know a good thing. So having good angels and good VCs is also very important for early stage startups. Now, so once we had the vision and the white paper and the brief round done, then we started getting some very solid developers on our this thing on our platform. And of course, all the good things of the startup, all the important things of the startup, that you have to hire the right people, you have to keep the burn rate low initially, acquire some traction, all of that is applicable. I'm just only talking about the token startup kind of thing. So all of those things are as important as in a normal startup here also. So we started hiring some good people and kept on building the product. And then for the IEO side of thing, I'm saying that we started approaching the exchanges. At that time, IEO were not big, but we were reaching out to all the big investors in the space, and Binance was also one of the biggest investors. So we reached out to them also and asked them whether that this was a good product and all. And as Abhimanyu was saying that, back in 2017, end of 2017, 18, some of the Indian projects came out, and, some of them actually ended up doing sort of fishy things or whatever. So due to that, the name of Indian blockchain ecosystem out there was not good. Like, everybody thought that every Indian project is a scam, like in very simple terms. So it was very difficult to convince initial partners. But good thing was that, because JD was working on something like, Dagger product that we had. So somebody was using that within Coinbase and all that. So we got that initial connect from there. We converted Coinbase, we converted Decentraland. And then, I did a very strong pitch to Binance. And then we actually met them in few hackathons. So as a platform product, when you're building, you need to get the developers. So again, our vision helped that. So even when we had hardly $50,000 or $100,000 in our in our treasury, even at that time also we were spending $2,000 to $5,000 in one single hackathon, which is kind of a ballsy step from our side. ETH India, for example, we have built this large inter-college community, and now when I look back, I myself think that I was very stupid, spending that much money at that time because it would have gone anywhere, right? But I think that vision at that time helped that we need to get the developers. So in this some of these hackathons we accidentally, and then again one more thing, that branding is also important. So I always ensure that whenever I go to any of these events, I am always wearing Matic t-shirt. You must have seen 100% of the time I will wear Matic t-shirt. So I had applied to Binance, and some of the guy was actually looking at our application and all that, and he had some communications with me. And I was walking around in Singapore. It was the ETH Singapore was there, and then he tapped me from behind. He said, "Hey, are you from Matic?" I said, "Yes." So he said, "Yeah, I am from Binance. I am Calvin." I said, "Who, Calvin, who from where?" And he said, like, "No, I'm from Binance. I'm on your counterpart on the." I was like, "Oh man, this is Calvin." So I immediately took him aside and showed him that okay, this is like, it was like a 45-minute heavy pitching at that time, and he actually gave me all that time, and I showed him that okay, we are building this, we are building that, and I told him our intentions about the developer ecosystem, and he also could see that we were actually going from table to table, helping developers that okay, what they are building, if they can use Matic testnet, they can build something like this, and actually live demoing them. So kind of he was, I think he might have seen the hustle also. So but even then, overall this process took us like 7 to 8 months. So if you are still from India and our name is not that big even now, and I think Ajit sir would also uh, can also shed light on that our name as Indians is not that big on the product side yet globally. Like we don't have many global products now. Some of our bigger names, Zomato and Paytm and Oyo, have started going out of India, but by and large we are not known as a product building country. So that also I think plays in the mind of like larger kind of investors, that how are you guys doing and all that. So what we kept on doing is that once we had those touch bases with all of these investors, and we were, like, many people don't know that we were very close, we were very in the very higher stages of speaking to, let's say, A16Z, Pantera Capital. Some of them actually got in. Abhimanyu, you are on mute if you are speaking anything. So we we were speaking to many of them, actually converted, but by that time we had committed to the IEO, so things could not materialize on some of those fronts. But we kept on taking this, and we kept on putting our updates, like even if we were not getting because this was the peak of beer markets. So even if we were not getting much of progress on that front, we kept on sharing our updates, broadcasting updates, coming out with new ideas, like having NFT validator slots where your validator is an NFT, your exit tokens are NFT. All these kind of innovations on the kind of blockchain protocol side. And then at one point in time, Binance team realized that this is a serious team; they're not going away anywhere, and they. So Ajit sir has changed the t-shirt, I think. Yeah, that's pretty cool, sir. So yeah, so I mean, when Binance got converted at that time, and they said that okay, we are happy to do this, and then our IEO journey started, right? So we can actually take up the post IEO journey, maybe Abhimanyu, if you want to, because it's already like 10 minutes monologue from my side. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I mean, we'll take the post IEO journey and what things are very important over
Yeah.
there. But then this is the part, like vision, having a team, and yeah, one more important thing that actually I wanted to mention, which is very specific to token startups, is the token utility. Like right now, whenever like a lot of people approach me from Indian ecosystem also, that hey, we are doing this and we are launching a token and all that, and you should be very, if you are an honest entrepreneur, you should be very clearly asking you these questions, that why exactly you need a token, right? I mean, many people are still trying to do that payment token, that okay, I will have a small micro ecosystem and people will be paying using my tokens. Those kind of payment tokens don't work, and they are proven to fail, like, because they don't have a real utility. Why can't somebody pay in DAI or USDT or ETH, right? Why do you need a separate currency for making payment? So that doesn't work actually. Only proven token models that can work is like, one was staking, where you are actually staking that token and then using it. Like even Ethereum having a utility token in terms of paying the gas fees might also not work. There were a lot of questions on Ethereum's token utility as a gas fees only also. So, but Ethereum is also now moving to POS. So staking the token in order to earn the rewards actually gives you a like overall economic like engine where people are staking your tokens because there is a yield related to that and transaction fees, and more transaction fees goes up, your network utility goes up, more and more people will like to stake that money and then get that transaction fees. So then overall your token utility can grow. And now we are seeing this onset of governance tokens, and I think all these startups you should very closely look. I yesterday 2 days back also in one conference I was saying that now the dApps might have a token model where you have a governance token, which actually if you see Compound also has profit sharing ideas with their token, with the governance token, which actually makes you security. But then there is a clause, and everybody should read the MakerDAO's token model also, because the governance is voting on the amount of profit shared, not like a central party, but the people of the community are deciding that how much profit can be distributed to the this thing, and then it is not coming from the efforts of single party. And there is a expectation of zero return also in many cases, like community can vote zero profit to go. So that actually fails a lot of that actually succeeds Harvey's test, and then you no longer are a security. That's why you see MakerDAO, Maker Token, and Compound now listed on Coinbase. So please, all of the token startups, look, if your token doesn't have staking and any core utility into it, think of doing governance based models also. Those are going to be a big hit with DeFi, but then they will trickle down into the dApps also. So that's my till IEO part. Focus on your token utility and get token model. Yeah. Sorry again. Unlock.
No worries, Sandeep. It's always a pleasure. Like Vikas is always, also mentioning on the chat that it's always you're always benevolent in sharing knowledge, which makes him, listen to you more and more. And I think the others feel the same, including myself. Uh, am I audible now? And is there any kind of disturbance coming now, or is it perfect? All right, awesome. I'm sorry about the last time I was wearing AirPods, so I think there's a mismatch due to that. And now I'm using Systems mic. So perfect. We got to know Sandeep's journey, how he met his teammates, how he even interacted. It was just like this, like you mentioned, and I picked this point that you met Kevin on an event, right? That's how important events and networking are, and that's why when you never know where where you can find your next investor, or where you can find your next angel round, or where you can find the next resource. It's always good to be outspoken. It's always good, like Sandeep said, if you can say, if you can maybe just 1 second, if I'll set up my mic in a bit. How bad is it?
It's Abhimanyu, you can complete your part and let Ajit sir start
Yeah.
speaking
So
part, and
okay,
then
cool.
you can.
So no, I can fix my mic meanwhile. And Ajit sir is right now really he's deep dived into the uh, to to a company which is known as Ideas That Scale. That is his own his own venture, and he's mentoring, training, and accelerating ideas that can scale. And I think without further ado, I'll pass on the mic to Ajit, and I'm going to set my own mic as well. All right, Ajit sir, if you can take it over, please. I'm going to set my mic.
Excellent. So thank you very much for having me here. Before I begin, two or three quick points. First is that I have done, as I'm sure everybody on this conference has done, innumerable webinars in this COVID era. And at some point of time, you wonder whether these webinars are helping, whether we are learning anything from them. So just as a token activity, as soon as Sandeep said that wear your T-shirt, I realized that I don't have my own T-shirt, so I quickly ran out and wore a Bitcoin T-shirt at least, so everybody knows that I'm learning from what Sandeep is saying. Second, very quick point, and that will be the last before I start talking about it. Uh, Everybody who has been on this call more or less from the beginning heard a lot of dimensions of conversation and what Sandeep said, right? Right from the token, how to go about it, how he did not jump to just money but establish his basic mainnet, etc. I think that if you begin with the approach that, hey, let me get the money, all those things will follow. Neither will they follow, and frankly, nor will you get the money. You have to think of all those things first, and money has to be a consequence. And I don't want this to be like a Hindi film dialogue, because there have been Hindi films right from the the Three Idiots, as well as another one about how money follows. I want to be very practical, so I'm going to cover, I think, 6 or 7 dimensions of this IEO journey, And because there are 6 or 7, I'll be spending just a minute and a half per each of them. Very happy to interact with the rest of the audience and bring up other points later. So first thing is that if your entire desire to do an IEO comes from the fact that it might be an easier way to raise money than, let us say, an ICO, or go further away than a crowdfunding, or go further away and do like an IPO itself. Like if your entire desire is this is where easy money comes in, regrettably you might be somewhat right. Okay, regrettably you might be somewhat right, but it will not, the joy of the IEO will not last for long, because please understand, this is not money people are giving you to go and now buy your Mercedes or Lamborghini and do things. It is money for a project which you have taken with a very responsible commitment to those people, right? So I'll not talk about all forms of capital formation. We'll try to restrict it to IEO. So first keep that in mind, that this is not money that people are gifting you. I know it sounds like the most obvious thing in the world, but when I see so many people who approach me and say, hey, we are making a white paper, we are coming up with ICO, IEO, etc., I find that their entire thought is only raise money, raise money. There's nothing of substance, which is a tragedy. And by the way, it will end also in a tragedy. Second thing to keep in mind is the fact that, and I'm surprised to not see a large number of questions on the live chat, which should have been there, around the regulatory aspect of, what is a token, where can it be issued, can a private limited company in India issue a IEO, all of those complexities. I think that those complexities are not something that should deter you, but at the same time, they are necessary evils. There are rules of the game. You have to follow those rules, right? So an IEO, Sandeep was talking about the utility of it and it's something of security or not. These are very important points, which, by the way, even if you have a successful IEO, will later come and bite you if not enough thought has gone into them. That's the second thought to keep in mind. The third is trying to understand that basically what you're saying is that, any sale process is, I will give you this, you will give me money, right? So what is it that you're giving people, and the fact that they're giving you money in return, if your focus is entirely on the marketing of it. For example, if you go to the oldest ICOs, the entire effort and money by the issuer in some cases was spending on making a brilliant white paper and doing a fantastic social media and advertising campaign. And frankly, that was the extent of the project. And some of these projects raised lots of monies, which have now evaporated. Right. In fact, the reason Bitcoin as well as other tokens who frankly, may not ever have an issuance also get a bad name is because some of these bad issuers that came our way and led to the entire ecosystem getting a bad name. Right. So if the effort, I would say 90+% of your effort has to be on your project. As in, assume you got your money or you're going to get your money. What are you going to do with it next? You're going to create a solution of some kind. You're going to create adoption. Note, solution without adoption is an absolute zero, which means you have the greatest mousetrap, but nobody is buying the mousetrap or using your mousetrap. It is zero. So that means you have to create a solution. You have to have at least a path to adoption. You have to, in this world, in the crypto world, necessarily have partnerships in place. So, you have to have had at least those initial discussions. Ideally, you should have the partnerships in place, but you have to think about how you fit into the entire space. Fourth, what you need to know, and I say this with some regret, is that the largest use case, by largest I mean the most prevalent and most widespread use case of the entire crypto sphere today has become speculation, which means a lot of people might participate in a token issuance, whether IEO, ICO or whatever, without bothering about anything except that, if I buy it for X, there's a very good chance that on the day one itself or shortly thereafter, it will be at 1.5x or 2x or even 10x. That is the sort of desire. And I don't care about anything else. Now, what tends to happen is that because there is a speculative use case which is so prevalent, a lot of people might say, hey, forget all those other things that you're talking about. All I need to do is showcase myself well. This is where I want to give a very serious warning to everybody. The world of crypto, more specifically capital formations, token economics, and more specifically IEOs, which are one of the latest kids on the block, probably only rivaled with STOs in terms of being latest in how many IEOs have happened. Probably STOs are far fewer. Anything that you read about an ICO that happened in 2017 or 2018 is completely invalid today. So don't try to learn from examples which are already gone, done, dusted with, and are never going to come again. Today the world is different, which means while I don't know, I'm just speculating here, maybe 95% of the people who will subscribe to your IEO might be doing only with speculative intent. Okay, I'm not denying that. I don't know what the real number is. It could be 50, it could be 99. So let's say a very large proportion of them is, but the remaining, the 1%, the 5%, or whatever there are, the remaining are very heavily influential on whether your IEO will succeed or not. Please keep that in mind. So numerically, more people might be speculating, but the few people who actually go through the trouble of reading your documentation, whether it's a prospectus, information memorandum, white paper, whatever name that is given to these documentation, the people who actually read it and study it and then put out information or their understanding on social media or on other websites, I think that they can make or break your IEO. So it is not about how many people you can convince, it is about how many influential people you can convince. And by influential, I don't mean influencer marketing as in social media, but people who are genuinely have a track record. Now I'll just take a little diversion, and there are two more points that I need to cover at a very superficial level, is about what is the alternative to IEO. So first, please consider the biggest and most common alternative to IEO, which is nothing. As in, go ahead and do your project without the IEO or any other form of fundraising. If this can be done, I must tell you that is the most important and interesting way to do it. The only case in which you should say, I will raise other people's money, is because you could not do it without other people's money. Now, what is the alternative to IEO where you have to raise people's money? I think that going to a bunch of friends, colleagues, high net worth individuals, relatives can easily give you a few lakh rupees, going all the way up to 25, 50, 70, those kind of numbers, lakh rupees, such as 100,000 USD equivalent, I think can be raised from people who are within your network. And frankly, any entrepreneur who first goes and raises money from their personal network, goes to one's father, father-in-law, brother, sister, friend, school teacher, etc., former employer, I must tell you, I'm 50% sold right there. That if all these people who know this guy for some time have put money behind this guy, then certainly that's a huge evaluation of the person. It may not be an evaluation of the project, but at least now I feel, unlikely that he's going to run away with the father's money and the father-in-law's money and the friend, employer, teacher, who have you. So I think that first try to see if that much money is enough, at least to take your project up to some point. And I must say, I was not aware of this part of Sandeep's journey, but this actually is something that I deeply appreciate about what Sandeep did, that don't just try to go and tell people with some sort of a white paper that give me money. Go to people who believe in you, trust you, and that, by the way, brings in a lot of confidence. If, for example, you have been employed at 3 places in the past and all 3 of your previous bosses invest some money in you, however small, I would take it as a huge thumbs up. So first thing is about the alternative of going to other people. Then there is the concept of ICO, right? As in, you could have a coin issuance. In fact, I always ask myself that if, as an investor, so my tea has come in, and my dog, I have a golden retriever called Bitcoin. Can you just get him here? We'll show people. Can you just help me carry him? So
that
that's
is
my wife.
awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. So you see this dog, the golden retriever.
My dog
The golden
$1
retriever.
That's like pretty good.
Yeah, so his name is Bitcoin.
Awesome.
Okay, he's a little over 2 years old. Thank you, baby. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I have a Bitcoin T-shirt. I have a Bitcoin dog. Sandeep, I'm beating you in branding, man. You need to get a dog also called Matic. All the same. But coming back to what I was saying, so I have often thought about, if I were to invest and all other things being equal, would I invest as an angel investor? Would I invest in an ICO, or would I invest in an IEO? Very simply, of all of these, my preference would be to invest as an angel investor, because as an angel investor, you get in touch with the entrepreneur directly. You don't just deal with them on online platforms. You visit them, you talk to them, you talk to their team. So do a very deep dive. However, because this is a global platform, you cannot always angel invest unless you're just blindly following another angel investor. So we move to IEO versus ICO. And to be honest, depending on which side of the bed I get up from on that day, I change my mind about which I would like to do. Having said that, usually I am in today's scenario, happy with the IEO platform, because in addition to placing my bets on the founder and their project, I derive some comfort from the fact that an exchange has actually done some level of diligence. I think that I wish it were much more, but at least some level of diligence, because if their IEO, after IEO starts failing, for instance, and IEOs will fail, startups will fail, projects will fail, no problem. But if they largely are only dealing with failed IEOs, soon their business of IEO and maybe their business of an exchange also could fail. So they will put in some effort, at least, in trying to qualify. So I derive some comfort from the fact, and the fact that you now have a guaranteed listing for which people have had to put in a lot of effort in the past, including paying significant amount of fees. In fact, at one point of time, listing a token on an exchange started scheming like the biggest scam there is. And CZ of Binance also said that if we take any listing fee, we are going to give it in away in donation. And it had become a big issue at that point of time. In fact, the biggest business could be to set up 100 exchanges solely for the purpose of listing tokens and charging a small listing fee. I don't know. Then the token issuer could say that I'm listed on 100 exchanges, but that's obviously not of consequence. But I think that if I look at some of the 4 or 5 very strong exchanges today who are promoting IEOs, I do derive some comfort because they have now become, somewhat as in reassuring, responsible institutions, which I want to associate with. Listing is guaranteed, the tokens availability is guaranteed, unlike the ICOs of the 17 era, or especially first half of 17, where you would put in a bid, put in a token, smart contract money, etc., and then just hope for the best, right? So I would definitely today, I think, as an investor, go in for IEO over ICO, except I feel that if it was a fundraise very large fundraise, I would raise at, let's say, $100 million or even much more than that, then probably being affiliated or restricted with a primary strong relationship with one exchange might be a little limiting. And I must tell you, I have one experience with this. I was employed with a company called IFI Ventures, which at that point was into real estate tech, and then pivoted and eventually Block One became the issuer of EOS. So the same guy who I was working with, Brendan Bloomer, became part of that, and we know the size of the issuance that they had. So something which is almost very substantial size like this would probably, would have to have a multi-IEO, like 4 exchanges get together, MIEO, where multiple exchanges get together, and then there would soon be a exchange platform. This is a very evolving word. I actually have now very superficially touched upon lots of things. We are already at 4:40 India time for those of you who are from abroad, and we have like about, I think, 20 odd minutes by which we want to wind up. So I'm happy if Sandeep, you or Abhimanyu, you have any question on what I said. Or for that matter, of course, there are all sorts of audience questions is directed towards all of us. Happy to move this forward.
Yes, thank you so much. First of all, Ajit sir, I hope my mic's working all right now, and I've disconnected the AirPods, and it works perfectly fine. Awesome. So, sir, obviously we can ask you questions anytime in our lives. So we will ping you whenever, at middle of the night, and you said that you're always welcome to to do that. Now is the question answer time, where people and the community is trying to ask you questions, and let's one by one. There have been some upvotes, and we were just talking about someone, Sandeep, backstage, which was Varun Sethi, and his question has the highest upvote by the community. So let's take that first. IEOs are good, but it doesn't get VC investors in a project. So ultimately, is Binance the only exit strategy for any token projects? I'm going to ask this question from Sandeep first in a nutshell, and then I'm going to come over to Ajit sir, and I'm going to ask you the same question. It's a very, very diligent question asked by one of the decent lawyers in India. All right. And yeah, Sandeep, why don't you go ahead and take this one first?
Yeah, so I'm not sure whether we can call it an exit strategy, because it's an initial exchange offering. And
no, the question is IEOs are good, but it doesn't get VC investors in a project. All right, so the Series A, Series B, and Series C, and all of that. So so ultimately, is Binance the only exit strategy for any token projects for raising money throughout the life cycle of its, you can make people understand that इसमें life cycle क्या है? What is the life cycle all about?
Exactly. Okay. So I'm just saying that the main part is that, see, when you are doing an IEO, you are already going public, right? So the purpose of Series A, Series B, Series C is that eventually you go public. Here, that's why, like Ajit sir was mentioning, that raising money, this money is easy because it's easy money, right? You can raise it very easily. But I feel that, you can raise it easily, but if you are an honest entrepreneur, then it's like the kind of hardest money that you can have with you, because you have, like, on Matix, Telegram, you have like 34,000 people asking me minute by minute update. What happened on this? What happened on this? What happened on this? Right? And then when an actual company does an IEO, it's already in business, like IPO. Like, compare it with the traditional world. They are already at least 100 to 150 people or 200 people strong. Some companies even like thousands of people strong. They have huge treasuries already, people set up, and then they go public. And then they have to, report every 3 months to the shareholders and all that, and then they have time to invest in their strategies, work on proper things and all that. And then even then those exchanges also close on Saturday and Sunday. There are Christmas holidays, right? There are other holidays. Here you have 24 cross 7, 365. All of your stakeholders asking you for your updates every minute. Like, just go to our Telegram and see how many tags I've got in last 24 hours. Like, I have to directly, and that's why most of the people, I can very easily understand, most of the founders don't do this, right? But I initially committed myself that no, I don't want to be that. I want to be directly interacting with the community, but it takes a lot of toll on me, because people are really rude at times, right? Why is this not happening? No, if the price is not going up, even if you are doing all you could have done, then they'll say that, oh, bad marketing, bad this, bad that, right? And then you are exposed to all those this thing, market variables
Yeah.
also. So all the entrepreneurs need to have
In a nutshell, do you think one more thing, if you can add, is the legality? And this question came in yesterday as well, just tied on to this, the same question, is that the legality of running an IEO from a jurisdiction, and then when you say that you have to be transparent to your shareholders in a public limited company from the Indian Companies Act perspective and the RBI's perspective, what happens when, in addition to this, when you do an IEO where you do it from an offshore place, and then are the token holders, can they ask you questions all the time, and that's why you're staying awake at night and replying them and answering them all throughout, and even not letting a manager of sorts, or a marketing communication manager, so how is this maintained, and how transparently the token holders, all right, have the right to ask information from the company? If that could be added to this one, please.
Sure. I'll take that. I'll take that up. So I was just finishing on my previous part, that since you are doing an IEO, you are already going public, so you don't have Series A, Series B, CD option with you. But having said that, nobody is saying that you do the IEO, only IEO. You can have a previous private sale rounds where you get some VCs and then go to public. So both the options are open. It's not the only way possible for you. Second ways is that you now are having these, with the Z5 protocols, you have other issuance strategies also, where you do a private sale, then set up some smart contracts, and have some interactions with, let's say, the current DeFi or Ethereum space, and then do the issuance. Like, the IEO is, like, actually for the companies, IEO is not that much of a fundraising mechanism, but it's more of a token distribution mechanism also. Once you distribute your token, you have large, because this is a decentralized network, you need to have more and more people holding the system, so that later on when governance kicks in, people can vote on things and all that, and it can be decentralized. Otherwise, it will be very centralized. So, and then you were talking about the transparency and doing the IEO from the jurisdiction. So that's why right now, since there's no law available in any particular jurisdiction, so that's why you are better off doing the IEOs from the offshore companies, which have no, like I quote, no regulation. Like, even if it's a positive regulation, I would say stay away from that, because they have something and they can change their mind, right? They keep on changing. Like, wherever you have positive regulation, they also keep on changing every week their regulations. And if you are very specific about being transparent and being compliant, you are always running around with lawyers. So go to a part where there is no regulation, and then because I'm saying all of these things, if you are an honest entrepreneur and you actually want to build a product, right? You're not going after some easy IEO money and then doing all these exchange secondary market activities and making money off of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about legit entrepreneurs who want to do the token because the token makes sense for their business model. So, and then once you do like this, your IEO from the location, like BVI is an location where you can do that, or some of the other Caribbean islands have a more like a free flowing this thing for that. Then you have to, like, because there are no laws and regulations in this space, you have to enforce these on yourself. Like, when you are raising public money, always
you're saying that we should all, like, in this case, we should be going to self-regulated domains and managing self-regulation, and being as cautious and as transparent to the token holders that there can be.
Because
once
you are
regulation
not
kicks in, then you'll be derived with the set of rules and protocols, right? Is that?
Yeah. So I'm also saying that I'm not saying that because these people are investors, these are utility tokens, so you are actually purchasing these tokens. But I'm just saying, because you are doing a crowdfunding, you are a custodian of public's money, right? And when you are custodian of public money, that should go into the way where the people have actually bought the tokens from,
Okay.
right? For the purpose of the
Tokens,
like
so
why
people
they
also
bought it.
understand that tokens are not shares. Owning tokens doesn't mean you're owning Matic Network company. Company is different in the case issuing a token, which people are getting utility from, and hence purchasing those. So let's go to Ajit sir and really try to find out what his point of view is from an angel investor category, from an investor category, and also from the community side, and obviously a veteran and and experiencing so many fundraisers in his life. What do you think, sir? Like, what onto what Sandeep said, and are your thoughts aligned to it? Do you have something that you want to share differently? And continuing to Varun's question, but just have your own mindset of how you would answer the same question in your own way, and people can learn from that, sir.
So actually, they say that when you have more than one person in the room, let's say two people in the room, such as me and Sandeep, and they both have the same thoughts, then at least one of them is not required. So I think that based on my answer to this question, we will both suddenly be required because my answers are a little
Awesome.
different. First, let me answer the question
Yeah.
directly. I think Sandeep, I'm actually directly talking to you, Sandeep, now. That Varun's point about that series ABCD and then eventually culminating into public, where you said you're already public, so where is the series ABCD? One point still remains unanswered, that all this sequential fundraising going from seed to angel to PA to ABCD, etc., allows a company to raise greater and greater and greater amounts of money for diluting lesser and lesser equity. So that is the equity route. Now, what happens in some sort of a token or coin issuance, and I'm not referring to any specific one of those, is that often the first time it goes out into the public, the issuer declares that there will be so many tokens that will be made. Which, by the way, a share issuer never says. A share issuer conveniently keeps issuing infinite number of tokens, like shares. So Geo, for example, now has sold, and then it might sell 10 times these or 1,000 times these number of shares. So that is one difference. So especially, I think that while capital formation by any mechanism is very difficult, so IEO is not easy, but still, because of the jurisdictional and regulatory reasons, people are finding IEO possible when IPO may not be possible. In light of that, when these people have to know, for example, when Sandeep wants to raise his $1 billion round, billion with a B, right? And because he now is really big and has got penetrated, so will he or any such issuer still be able to comply with all the things they had said, and will there be a voting? And so it becomes a little bit different than the venture capital route. Coincidentally, venture capitalists do invest into token issuing, and I think this became most popular when Telegram first announced that it is coming up with its token. That is when like Telegram, because it was such a reputed and widespread organization. Sandeep, why don't you just come in first, then I'll talk about the regulatory aspects.
Yeah. So I was just coming back to the sir that the series ABCD round, and then doing a public this thing, and then maybe raising larger round. So one thing, sir, that we need to see this like especially, and I'm talking from the protocol kind of background, right? So one thing that you are trying to do is that you are not building a equity company where you are like getting more shareholders in, more money, and then more users and all that. You're actually building a decentralized network, right? So for bootstrapping a network, which ideally, if you ask me, ideally how a network should grow is that a original team initially has some money, let's say $5 million, $10 million, whatever, and then they build the initial part of the network, bootstrap it and all that. But slowly and steadily, it should be decentralized by, to the public. So there is no single entity building the network, and then the network should be able to fund these things. So all the let's say we sold 20% of the tokens, and then some private sales and all that. But the treasury still has, let's say, 40-45% tokens, which we keep locked, right? Although from Matic side, I think that is one of the biggest success factors. But then right now, if the total supply market cap of Matic is around $200 million, so the foundation has those 40-50% of that, like maybe 70, 80, $100 million. And then if used wisely, like if some of the companies that they will start dumping all of these tokens into the market, those companies are anyways fraud companies. They're not they don't believe in their product. But if you are a legit company, what you could do is that you could slowly, steadily use those funds, use your foundation funds to fuel the ecosystem. So for example, if Matic tomorrow wants to if there is an application which actually has a large number of users, and we want to, let's say, acquire a stake in that company because they are building on Matic. We want to help them, so we can actually directly fund them through the foundation tokens. And many people might not know, but Matic has a transparency sheet, the transparency initiative, where all the tokens, because our foundation tokens are listed on Ethereum, right? So we have an Excel sheet where even if a single token moves out of it, right, we actually mention why it moved out, right? So if there's an investment that we need to do, we can utilize the funds from there. So I personally feel that we don't need to raise more and more additional money. If some big VCs, let's say 16 of the world, wants to come in, we can give them some discount on the treasury money, but they also have to take those tokens in a logged format. They can't take it out and put it into the market. So that was my only perspective. And overall building of this venture is like the mental model for it. This should be different than the normal, like building a synthesizer.
Okay, so basically, Aditya, I wanted to just say one thing, sir, that a lot of people who are watching this, now by the end of it, 70 odd people are watching this, and I would just want to say that still people are really not aware of the token economics associated with the blockchain project, and I would say that we will make sure that in this coming week or in the coming 2 weeks we hold a show just for the token model and token governance, because the pool of money that is being raised by the Binances of the world and the other people of the world are going to the company, all right, and then the money that is being raised is going to a treasury and all of that. So there's a little bit of complexity which cannot be resolved in 3 minutes. Maybe we have the intellectual capacity to understand, but the problem lies with the community and the people, all right, and we will go to the deep ends of this and make people understand how this is going to happen. And the other thing, the next question, sir, so Ajit sir, we will take another question before we're moving down to the clock. Sheikh Farhan from Tinkerer the Broken Loop has asked this question: why don't we have emergence of blockchain incubators in India just like the incubators in the rest of the world? And I would ask this question, and I would just briefly say that there is something in the pipeline. All right, India is going to have something really, really big, and the two people that I'm seeing in front of me right now are very, very closely involved in that, and we have been talking, and there's something going on, and it's obviously it's called we're going to set up a incubation center and a blockchain valley of India, and it is going to be very, very soon. Matic and Inblocks has already been working hard on it, and I've got the certain things updated and trying to manage that. But we will put more time, Sandeep. We will make sure that we pledge today that we'll put more time on it. I'll put dedicated hours per week to set this up. Ajit sir has been mentoring, and we've been talking around this whole concept again. So let's, we'll take this question first. That Sheikh Farhan Tinkerer the Broken Loop asked that why don't we have emergence? So the idea was that his point is emergency is not there. Us guys have been talking about it for 3 months, and we have taken all the domains, we've taken all we've done the Telegram channel, we're trying to make it happen, and we've got the funds now per se as well. Why is it not an emergency? We're trying to set up a valley, and so Ajit sir, I will give this to you first, and then let's move on.
In the interest of time, the short answer is that whether it is the internet, e-commerce, mobile devices, peer-to-peer lending, social media, etc., India was always late to the party. But like the traditional movie Amar Akbar Anthony, in which who is that guy? Vinod Khanna. So Amar goes and beats up Anthony and throws him into jail. And as Amitabh Bachchan is in the jail, he's saying that उसने मेरे को इतना मारा, मैंने उसको एक मारा, लेकिन क्या solid मारा ना. I don't know how many of you remember the dialogue. India will come late to the party, it always does, but when it comes, we do very well, right? So be a little more patient. We will be there shortly.
Awesome. So Sandeep,
I also want to give a shout out on this. I want to give a shout out to Indian community that we are a part of T Block Accelerator also, and I keep speaking to a lot of Indian entrepreneurs. Many of Indian entrepreneurs, the proportion is more than the entrepreneurs I speak to globally. They are actually trying to build real world applications and real world users of blockchain. And I'm very hopeful that India will come to the party in terms of the product domain in the blockchain side of things, because now Indian products can go global with this blockchain kind of setup and infrastructure. So I'm very hopeful for
Absolutely.
that.
So the thing is that T Block and the likes of T Block, Tezos, Matic, so many other people coming in, and there's there's completely some are centralized governed, some are decentrally governed, like Tezos, some are centrally governed, like T Block. So we will find out the best principal ways. We need to have the best minds working on this, not the best funds working on it, and that is why we will make sure that the community gets what they need. Before the money, they need to get a brain, and they need to get the brain charged up. So we will work. We will make sure that we work on that, and we've got the right partners, and always delivering you the best in quality, best in time. It's 5 o'clock. We're gonna see you next week. And thank you so much, Sandeep, and thank you so much, Ajit. It was always a pleasure hosting and talking to you guys. We will see you guys soon, and see you everyone. Love to the community. See you soon. Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.